The Awakening. The crystalline spires of Talon Prime glittered in the light of the twin suns, a beautiful sight that Ambassador Kirill knew might soon be reduced to ashes. Standing in the command center of their capital city, he watched as the last of their defense fleet was systematically dismantled by the Fracari Dominion's warships. The holographic display showed their remaining cruisers, barely a dozen, fighting valiantly against an armada of hundreds. "Status report," Kirill demanded, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around him. Chief Strategist Vanna's six-fingered hands danced across the control panel. "Shields at 17%. Orbital defenses compromised. The evacuation is only 40% complete." She looked up, her bioluminescent eyes dimming in resignation. "We have perhaps 2 planetary cycles before they breach our atmosphere." For centuries, the Talons had been known as diplomats, scholars, and artists. Their technological advancements focused on medicine, agriculture, and clean energy, not weapons of war. When the Fracari Dominion emerged from the uncharted regions 6 cycles ago, conquering and subjugating one species after another, the Talons had believed diplomacy would prevail. They had been catastrophically wrong. "We've exhausted all diplomatic channels," Kirill said. "The Galactic Council has abandoned us to our fate. What options remain?" Vanna hesitated. "There is one possibility, but it involves awakening something that may be worse than the Fracari." Kirill's attention sharpened. "Explain." "Before I joined the Strategic Command, I was part of an archaeological expedition in the Forbidden Sector," Vanna said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "We discovered something there, a communication node of non-Talon origin. Ancient, yet somehow still functional. The Forbidden Sector. Those ruins date back nearly 1,000 years, Kirill replied skeptically. "Yes. We believe they belong to a species called humans. They disappeared from galactic records after the Great Silence. Some say they destroyed themselves. Others believe they retreated into isolation." Vanna's eyes flickered with apprehension. "The artifacts we found suggest they were warriors beyond compare." A distant explosion rocked the command center. The shields were failing faster than anticipated. "And you think these extinct humans can help us?" Kirill asked. "I don't know. But the node was designed to activate in the event of catastrophic danger. It's sending out a signal. Has been for decades, but no one has ever responded." Vanna pulled up an image of a small, unassuming device. "It's worth trying. We have nothing left to lose." Kirill stared at the image. Desperation, it seemed, made reasonable beings attempt unreasonable things. "Do it." The ancient communication node sat on a pedestal in the heart of the Talon Science Academy, surrounded by the most advanced equipment they possessed. Kirill watched as Vanna carefully interfaced their technology with the alien device. "The signals it broadcasts are unlike anything in our databases," she explained. "We've modified it to amplify the transmission and added our distress call with visual data of the Fracari attacks." "And if someone, or something, responds?" Kirill asked. "Then we pray they're more merciful than the Fracari." The modified node hummed to life, pulsing with energy as it sent their desperate plea into the void. Silence followed, a silence that stretched from minutes into hours as the Fracari continued their systematic destruction of Talon defenses. Until, suddenly, the node changed. Its rhythmic pulsing became erratic, then stabilized into a pattern different from before. The holographic display above it flickered, and then resolved into an image that made both Talons step back. A face, similar to their own in having 2 eyes, a mouth, and a nose, yet strikingly alien, appeared before them. The being had darker skin than the Talons' pale blue, no bioluminescence, and most startlingly, hair, a feature absent in most known sentient species. "Distress signal acknowledged," the being stated in perfectly translated Talon. "Threat assessment. Critical. Location confirmed. Stand by for response." And then the projection vanished. Kirill and Vanna exchanged bewildered glances. "Was that a human?" Kirill asked. "I believe so," Vanna whispered. But that was no recorded message. That was a live communication. Then they're not extinct. No. And they've heard us. Light years away, in a sector of space charted on no official maps, something stirred. A massive structure, camouflaged against the backdrop of an unremarkable asteroid field, awakened from centuries of dormancy. Inside, automated systems began their startup sequences, running diagnostics on equipment that had remained untouched by time or cosmic radiation. Deep within the facility, a woman opened her eyes. The cryostasis pod around her hissed as it released its seal, exposing her to the carefully regulated atmosphere of the chamber. Commander Elena Rice took her first breath in 700 years, her mind instantly alert despite the long sleep. The familiar voice of Ed Lass, the installation's AI, greeted her. "Welcome back, Commander. Distress Protocol Alpha 7 has been activated. Threat assessment indicates a Level 1 invasion scenario in the Talon system." Elena's muscles protested as she sat up, but the discomfort faded quickly. The benefits of advanced cryogenic technology and genetic optimization. "Status of the fleet?" she asked, her voice raspy from disuse. "All vessels operational. Crew revival process at 12% and accelerating." "Show me the distress signal." A holographic display materialized, showing the Talon system under siege. Elena watched dispassionately as the Valkyrie ships decimated the Talon defenses. The tactics were brutal but unsophisticated, overwhelming force rather than strategic finesse. Tactical analysis suggests the aggressors possess numerical superiority, but inferior technological capabilities compared to Guardian fleet standards, Atlas reported. "Who are they?" Elena asked. "The Valkyrie Dominion, a relatively new power that emerged approximately 60 years ago. They have conquered 17 systems and subjugated or exterminated their indigenous populations." Elena's expression hardened. This was precisely the scenario humanity had prepared for. When Earth and its colonies had faced extinction during the Cascade War, humanity had made a choice. Rather than fight to the bitter end, they would retreat, regroup, and create a network of hidden Guardian installations across the galaxy. Each held a dormant fleet and crews in stasis, programmed to awaken only when truly needed. The Talons had unknowingly activated one such installation. "Begin full revival of all personnel," Elena ordered. "Prepare the fleet for immediate deployment. The Valkyrie Dominion is about to learn why awakening humanity was their biggest mistake." On the bridge of the Talon Command Center, alarms blared as new contacts appeared on their long-range sensors. Unknown vessels detected approaching from Sector 7. A technician called out. "Configuration doesn't match any known designs." Hyrule felt a chill run down his spine. "The Valkyrie reinforcements." "No," Vanna replied, studying the incoming data. "These are coming from the opposite direction, and they're moving at speeds our sensors can barely track." The first images reached them moments later, and the command center fell silent. Sleek, angular vessels with dark hulls that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it sliced through space toward the Talon system. At their center flew a ship of such massive proportions that it dwarfed even the largest Valkyrie dreadnought. "Are they responding to our call?" a junior officer whispered. Before anyone could answer, the communication system activated. The same face they had seen earlier appeared on screen, now framed by what appeared to be the command center of a warship. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Guardian Fleet Artemis. We have received your distress call and are moving to intercept the hostile forces. Stand down your remaining defenses to avoid friendly fire. We will handle the Valkyrie." The transmission ended, leaving the Talons in stunned silence. "They're going to engage the entire Valkyrie fleet?" Karel asked incredulously. "There are hundreds of warships out there." Vanna's expression was a mixture of hope and trepidation. "We're about to see what humanity is truly capable of." Aboard the EGF Artemis, Elena Reyes stood at the command station, surveying the tactical display. The Valkyrie fleet was arranged in a standard siege formation around Talon Prime, effective against planetary defenses, but vulnerable to an external attack force. "Time to contact?" she asked. 4 minutes, Commander," her tactical officer, Major Kenzo Chen, replied. "The Vrikari have detected us but appear confused. They're attempting to realign their fleet, but their command structure seems rigid. They're struggling to adapt." Elena nodded. Humanity had learned long ago that adaptability was the key to survival. The Vrikari would learn this lesson the hard way. "All ships, prepare for combat maneuver Epsilon. Deploy Phantom squadrons to disrupt their communications. Target their command vessels first." As the Guardian fleet approached the outer perimeter of the Talon system, Elena thought about the sleeping giant that humanity had become. For centuries, they had watched from the shadows as new empires rose and fell, intervening only when absolutely necessary, then retreating back into obscurity. Today, that would change. Today, the galaxy would remember why humanity had once been feared. "All ships report ready, Commander," Chen announced. Elena's eyes reflected the stars that would soon become a battlefield. "Begin the attack." The Guardian fleet accelerated to combat speed, their advanced engines propelling them faster than the Vrikari sensors could properly track. As they closed the final distance, Elena gave a single command: remind them why they should fear the dark. The Reckoning. Supreme Commander Vexnar of the Vrikari Dominion stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Inexorable, watching with satisfaction as his fleet methodically dismantled the Talon defenses. The weak, peace-loving species had offered pitiful resistance, just as he expected. Soon, their world would join the growing list of Vrikari conquests, their resources harvested, their population enslaved. Another orbital defense platform neutralized. Supreme Commander, his second-in-command, reported. "At current pace, we'll begin planetary invasion within 6 hours." Vexinar's mandibles clicked in approval. The Talons were known for their advanced biotechnology, which would significantly enhance the Dominion's capabilities. Their subjugation would. "Supreme Commander." Unknown vessels detected approaching at high velocity. Vexnar turned sharply. "Identification?" "None, sir. Configuration doesn't match any known species in our database. They're moving faster than our tracking systems can accurately measure." Vexinar's warrior instincts flared. "Defensive positions. Redirect half the fleet to intercept. Maintain bombardment of Talon Prime with the remainder." The bridge erupted into activity as orders were relayed throughout the fleet. On the tactical display, Vexnar watched as the mysterious vessels approached, dozens of ships, all moving with a coordination that suggested a highly disciplined force. Then something unprecedented happened. As his ships turned to meet the newcomers, a series of energy pulses rippled across the void. Not weapons fire, but something else, something that caused his communications to dissolve into static. "We've lost contact with the outer defensive ring," an officer reported, his voice tinged with confusion. "Attempting to reestablish." The officer never finished his sentence. The Artemis and its escort vessels emerged from the darkness like predators, unleashing a barrage of weapons fire that cut through Vrikari shields as if they were non-existent. Ship after ship erupted into silent, fiery destruction. On the bridge of the Artemis, Elena watched the battle unfold with clinical precision. The Vrikari ships were formidable by modern galactic standards, but against humanity's Guardian fleet, they were hopelessly outmatched. "Their communication network has been compromised," Chen reported. "Phantom squadrons have successfully deployed electronic warfare packages. The Vrikari fleet is fragmented and unable to coordinate." "Good. Press the advantage. Execute attack pattern Delta 7. The Guardian fleet moved as one organism, shifting into new formations that confused and disrupted the Vrikari's attempts to counterattack. Elena's vessels utilized revolutionary propulsion technology that allowed for maneuvers impossible for conventional ships, seemingly defying the laws of physics as they outflanked and isolated Vrikari battle groups. "Commander, we're detecting civilian transports attempting to evacuate Talon Prime. They're in the line of fire." Elena's decision was immediate. Divert Aegis Group to provide cover. Deploy defensive drones around the evacuation corridors. As orders were executed, Elena reflected on the fundamental difference between her forces and the Fricari. The Dominion sought conquest through brutality. The Guardian fleet existed for one purpose: protection. It was a distinction that defined humanity's evolution from conquerors to guardians. Supreme Commander Vexnar watched in mounting horror as his carefully orchestrated attack dissolved into chaos. Ship after ship vanished from tactical displays, destroyed by weapons that sliced through advanced Fricari defenses like they were nothing more than thin metal. "We've lost 30% of our fleet," his tactical officer reported, voice strained. "Our weapons are having minimal effect on their shields." "Impossible," Vexnar hissed. "No species possesses such technology." But the evidence was undeniable. The unknown fleet was methodically dismantling his forces with surgical precision, protecting the Talon evacuation while simultaneously cutting the heart out of the Fricari fleet. A new transmission cut through the static of their compromised communications. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Guardian Fleet. Your unprovoked aggression against the Talon people ends now. Surrender your forces or be destroyed." Earth. The name resonated in Vexnar's mind with a distant memory. Humans, a species mentioned in ancient warnings, believed to be extinct or relegated to myth. "We do not surrender," Vexnar responded, mandibles clicking in defiance. "The Dominion conquers. We are not conquered. So be it." The transmission ended, and what followed was not the expected renewed assault, but something far more terrifying. A single vessel, smaller than the others, sleek and predatory, broke formation and accelerated directly toward the inexorable. "Evasive maneuvers," Vexnar ordered. But the human vessel moved with impossible speed and agility, evading all attempts to target it while closing the distance to his flagship. In the final moments before impact, Vexnar realized it wasn't on a collision course. It was executing a precise attack run. Focused energy beams lanced out, not striking the inexorable's vital systems, but targeting specific points on its hull with surgical accuracy. Suddenly, all systems on the bridge went dark. Emergency lighting activated, casting an eerie red glow over the panicked crew. "Report," Vexnar demanded. "All weapons offline. Engines disabled. They've somehow neutralized our systems without destroying the ship." The implications were clear. The humans could have destroyed the inexorable, but had chosen not to. This wasn't just defeat, it was humiliation. The battle, if it could be called that, lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the Fricari Dominion had lost over 60% of its invasion force. The remainder, disabled, crippled, or intact, but isolated, were no longer a threat to Talon Prime. Elena stood on the bridge of the Artemis, surveying the aftermath. "Status report. Fricari resistance has ceased," Chen replied. "Their remaining functional vessels are retreating to the system boundary. The disabled ships, including their flagship, are adrift. Casualties: minimal. 3 of our vessels sustained moderate damage, no fatalities." Elena nodded. The lopsided victory wasn't surprising. The Guardian fleet had been designed with a technological edge that would persist for centuries after humanity's apparent disappearance. "Open a channel to the Talon Command Center." The view screen shifted to show Ambassador Kirill and Chief Strategist Vanna, their expressions a mixture of awe and trepidation. "Ambassador Kirill," Elena began, "your world is secure. The Fricari forces have been neutralized." "Commander Reyes," Kirill replied, his voice thick with emotion, "we owe you a debt that can never be repaid. But I must ask, who are you?" "We believed humans were extinct." Elena's lips curved in a slight smile. "A useful misconception. Humanity chose isolation after the Cascade War, but we never abandoned our responsibility to the galaxy. We established Guardian installations throughout known space, programmed to awaken when civilization was threatened by expansionist powers. You've been watching all this time." Vanna asked incredulously. Observing. Waiting. Your signal activated protocols established centuries ago. Elena paused. The Vrekari Dominion has been unchecked for too long. That ends today. In the days that followed, delegations from across the galaxy arrived at Talon Prime, drawn by news of the Vrekari defeat. The story spread like wildfire, how a seemingly extinct species had returned from the shadows to defend a civilization on the brink of destruction. Elena stood in the great hall of the Talon capital alongside Ambassador Kirill, watching representatives from 24 species argue over the implications of humanity's return. They fear you, Kirill observed quietly. With good reason, Elena replied. Before our isolation, humanity fought wars that nearly destroyed us, and others. We learned hard lessons about power and responsibility. And now, what will humanity do now that you've revealed yourselves? Elena surveyed the gathered diplomats. The Guardian Protocol has been activated. Other installations will be awakening across the galaxy. We won't retreat into the shadows again. The Vrekari will retaliate, Kirill warned. Their empire spans many systems. Let them try. Elena's expression remained impassive, but her eyes held the weight of humanity's long vigil. They awakened something they don't understand. We are not conquerors like them. We are guardians, and we have been patient for a very long time. As the diplomatic summit continued, news arrived that the Vrekari Dominion had withdrawn from 3 recently conquered systems. Whether out of fear or strategic necessity was unclear, but the message was unmistakable. The balance of power had shifted. In the vastness of space, dormant Guardian installations stirred to life, answering the call that had begun with a desperate plea from a peaceful species. Humanity had returned to the galactic stage, not with conquest in mind, but protection. And the stars would never be the same again. Aboard the Artemis, now in orbit around Talon Prime, Elena stood alone in her quarters, looking out at the world they had saved. A transmission from another Guardian installation confirmed what she already knew. Across the galaxy, humanity was awakening. 700 years of watching from the shadows had ended. The silent Guardians would be silent no more. Was this always the plan? Her executive officer asked from the doorway. Elena turned. Humanity needed time to evolve beyond our warlike past. The galaxy needed time to forget why they feared us. She looked back at the peaceful world below. Now we return not as conquerors, but as protectors. And if the galaxy rejects our protection? Elena's expression hardened slightly. Then we remind them why the ancient texts warned. Disturb not the slumber of earth, lest you awaken that which cannot be put back to sleep. Outside, the stars beckoned. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy would soon remember what that meant.